So that brings us to an end of the first half of the plane, and as you can see, because of the similarity in many of these letters, it is quite easy to memorize all those letters. Now we move towards the second half, and this is where we start getting the unique characters. So the first of those is the letter fa, fa, and this is simply a circle like that, followed by the main body like this, with a dot on the top. And so at the beginning of a word, we see that it retains this feature here with a dot. And then in the middle of a word, it's simply the squiggle like that, with a dot on the top. And then finally at the end, we see that it retains its body with a dot on the top. Next we have the letter qaf, qaf, and this has two dots above it. So we have the same circle, but we see that the body is a bit more rounded compared to the fa. Qaf. And again, as with the fa, we see that it is very similar, the only difference being that it has two dots. Qaf. This is in the middle, once more in the middle, and then at the end it retains its main body shape, qaf. Next we have the letter kaf, which is like this, and a squiggle that looks a bit like an S. And again, like that, and once more in its isolated form like this. Now when it forms part of a word, we see there's a slight change, and this is really to allow the next letter to be written. So it goes like this, and then in the middle of a word like that, and once more, and then finally at the end of a word we see that it comes back to its original shape, and we get this squiggle coming back as well. So this is the letter kaf. Next we have the letter lam, and so this is a vertical stroke followed by a semicircle like that. At the beginning, again a vertical stroke, simple vertical stroke. In the middle, this is the same, and at the end it appears like that, retaining its original shape. Okay, now we move right to the very end of the plane with the remaining 5 characters. So the first of those is meme, and so this is written like this. You have a small circle, a squashed circle, followed by a downward stroke. And when it occurs at the beginning of a word, we see that it loses the second half of its shape, and in the middle of a word we see it's like this, like that, and at the end it is like this. That's the letter meme. Then we have the letter noon. This is a straightforward character. It's like a type of semicircle with a dot at the top. And then at the beginning of a word it is like this, with a single dot and a single dot at the top. In the middle, and then once more in the middle, and at the end we see that it retains its original shape again, like that. That's the letter noon. Then we have the letter ha, and so this is like that. When it occurs at the beginning of a word, it is like this. So we start from here, Then we make a second loop like that. And then in the middle it is like this. And then at the end it is like this. It's the letter ha. Then we have the letter waw, and the letter waw is one of those stubborn letters that does not join to anything which comes after it, and so you will see that the waw will only take two main forms. So this is waw at the beginning, middle and end. This is waw at the beginning, and this is waw in the middle and also the end. And then finally we come to the letter ya, and this is written like this with two dots at the bottom. And again, and then once more, and then as part of a word we see it is like this with two dots at the bottom, and then in the middle two dots at the bottom. Once more, you can also go like this. In some scripts, in some styles of written script, you can do a horizontal stroke to represent two dots, and finally at the end like this. This brings us to an end of the written forms of the letters. So as you can see, we have isolated forms which are the original forms of the letters which you can see on the screen right now, and then we also speak of these letters having an initial or a beginning, middle and end position when they form parts of words, and depending on which position they have, there may be certain modifications which take place. So we see that some of these letters hardly change at all, so no matter where they occur you can always recognize them, and examples of this are ta and dha, and maybe a couple of others. And some of them are stubborn letters. They will not join to any letters which come after them, which means again that their shape won't fundamentally change. And so these include the dal, dhal, ra, zai and the waw. And some of these letters lose a part of their shape when they form part of words, and from them are these three letters here, the jim, the ha and the kha, and likewise the sin, the sheen, the sad, dad, and so they lose a part of their shape. And then there are some letters which are distinguished by others by the fact that they have dots or a different number of dots. So for example, we see here the jim has a dot and the ha does not have a dot, and the ba has a single dot, the ta has two dots, and the tha has three dots. So the presence and absence of dots, and likewise whether the dot appears above or below, all of these allow us to distinguish between the letters. So when we bear all of these things in mind, all of these variations, it means that recognizing a specific letter in a word actually becomes very easy. And so what we'll do in the next exercise is to start writing actual words.